Today I'm going to talk about hiking and how to safely go on a hike. And my name is Jacob Wayman. So America has some of the best trails and outdoors in the world, and millions of people go hike or just participate in outdoor activities every year. So a study by Statista found that close to 60 million people in the US participated in hiking activities at least once in 2022. So yeah, us Americans, we love the outdoors. I'm sure that most of you guys have been hiking at least once. I hike a lot in the summer. I try to go every chance that I get. I love the outdoors. So regardless of the vast amount of people that participate in outdoor activities, most of them take the necessary precautions to ensure their safety. So I'll be talking about the necessary gear to bring with you, dangers and health risks you might run into, and what to do in emergency situations. So the first thing is having proper and quality gear is essential for a safe hike. So I'm going to start from the bottom up, so I'm going to talk about shoes and boots. So I personally like hiking boots. A lot of people would just go in like Vans, whatever they have, like flat shoes. And that's really cool until you sprain your ankle, which I have weak ankles. So the last time that I went hiking in Vans, I rolled the crap out of my ankle and I was like alone. So it was fine, but what was supposed to be like a 3-hour hike turned into like an 8-hour, I thought I was gonna die. So I ended up getting boots after that. And something to look for in boots and shoes is waterproof. Wet feet suck. It can result in blisters and just not a good time. Obviously having blisters on your feet isn't gonna kill you, but it's not gonna be fun. Good arch support is good. If you have really flat feet, that's even more important for you to have arch support. And then ankle support too, because spraining your ankle or rolling your ankle is not fun. The next thing would be a backpack. So make sure that the backpack that you get is big enough for the trip that you're going on. So if you're going on a 3-day trip, try to have a huge backpack enough to have extra clothes, water, food, a first aid kit, your fire, so everything that you're gonna need. So a good backpack is super essential. Having a hydration bladder is cool too. Hydration bladder is like a plastic bag that's full of water, has a tube coming out of it. It's just a different way you can drink water easily. Next thing is a first aid kit. So you want that to have like Neosporin, gauze, a trauma kit, a tourniquet, a sewing kit, painkiller, and another thing is like if you have medication that you take every day, let's say that you're going on a hike that's going to take you a day or two, it's a good idea to bring that medication. You know what I mean? Bring a surplus of your own medication, especially if it's like necessary for your health. A rain cover and poncho is good, and that's if necessary. So if you're hiking in the desert, obviously you're probably not going to need a rain poncho or a rain cover for your backpack or a poncho. But if you're in, especially mountains, they're prone to like spontaneous weather patterns. It's a really good idea to bring rain gear for sure. And another thing is a fire starter and lighter. So that can be like flint and steel, a lighter, matches. If you're getting matches, go with waterproof matches. And I would highly recommend to bring 2 types of fire starters. So that being like a lighter and flint and steel, or a lighter and matches, just in case you get your lighter wet or you ruin your matches or something happens. Being able to start a fire is super, super important, as well as they sell kindling. I definitely wouldn't bring gasoline in a backpack. That's probably not a good idea, but they sell little bricks that it's pretty much just like a kindling that you can use to start a fire. It's super flammable. That's always good. And then the last thing is correct clothing. So dress appropriately for where you're going. If you're going somewhere hot, you want to wear breathable clothing, and it's always a good idea to keep your body out of the sun if you don't have sunscreen, and just wear like a hat. If it's sunny out, if it's cold, bring extra jackets, bring extra layers. Even if you are hiking somewhere where it's hot, especially out here in the desert in Idaho, after the sun goes down, it can be the summer, it can be 80 degrees, and it can drop 30 plus degrees. A jacket is just a super good idea. Oh, and then water, of course. So water, you can have a hydration bladder in your backpack, you could have a water bottle, and then another rule is like to have multiple forms of hydration. So don't just bring a giant water bottle. It's even a better idea to bring like one medium-sized water bottle, and then plastic bottles just in case something happens to that water. Like I have multiple ways to get water, and then there's this thing called the life straw. And essentially what it is, it's just a straw that has a filter in it, and when you can drink out of pretty much anything, you'll be safe. You could drink out of a creek. So Anyway, so the gear you wear on a hike won't matter much if you're not prepared for a disaster. So the next thing we're going to be talking about health risks and environmental hazards. So allergies is a big one. There's a statistic, I can't read my handwriting, so that allergies are actually one of the like allergic reactions in the mountains, especially like if you have an allergy to bees or wasps. It's really important to have an EpiPen, because if you get stung by a bee, and a lot of people don't really consider that when they're up in the woods, but if you're like a mile or two on a hike and you don't have service and you get stung by a bee, that's going to be really hard once your throat starts swelling to get out of there. So I think the statistic reads something along the lines of, yeah, allergies, allergic reactions in the mountains are one of the top reasons for people ending up in the hospital due to outdoor recreational activities. And then, yeah, as far as your first aid kit goes, make sure that you have all your wound cleaning stuff, needle and thread, painkiller, tourniquet, and more. The next hazard or health risk would be animals and poisonous plants. So research the area that you're going into. If it's like bear territory, especially up next to Yellowstone and Island Park, that area. If you know there's bears around, definitely get bear mace. If you're able and willing and know how to use a firearm, 9mm is never a bad idea. And then poisonous plants, so the biggest rule with that is know your basic like poison ivy, know stuff like that. And then, but yeah, this is like the number one rule is I don't care who you're with or how smart they think they are, just keep it a rule to just not eat any berries or plants or anything in the wild. It's just not really worth the risk. Next thing is weather and land hazards. So weather just being like to make sure there isn't any big storms coming in. The land hazards would be like such things like falling rocks, landslides. If you're going on a hike that's kind of sketchy, research it and know if there's going to be, you know, like drops or crevices and stuff. So I'm going to tell a story really quick. It's actually kind of a bad story. There was a couple a while back, my mom told me this just the other day, but there's a couple that was, if you go to Shoshone Falls in the winter and the fall like right now, you can hike over where the water normally flows over, it's all dry. So there's this couple, and they have signs all over the area saying to, like no trespassing, don't go that way. Well, this couple, they decided to walk over there, and I've done stuff like that too. And the guy, I think he tried to jump over a crevice. Somehow he fell into a crevice. He fell like 30 feet down and got stuck. And she was able to, they called the firefighters and they got there and they weren't able to get him out in time and he died of blood loss. So that is just really, if there's signs all over the place saying to not go that way and they don't state a reason why, there probably is a good reason for it. So yeah, just educate yourself on the trail, where you're going and stuff like that to look out for. So these things will prepare you for a disaster, and the next thing is to have an emergency plan. So the biggest thing with an emergency plan is to notify family or friends of where you're going, for how long, and what to do if you're running past schedule. So yeah, let them know the trail that you're going on. Don't give them a basic area. If you're saying, oh, I'm gonna go hike around Pomerelle, don't try to give them an actual area that you're going and how long it's gonna take. If disaster does happen, the biggest thing, or one of the biggest things, is a lot of people have a first aid kit in their backpack, but they have no idea how to use it. So you can YouTube videos to get like a basic first aid class, or you can even take first aid classes. And that's a super good idea, because if you get cut and you have this first aid kit and you're just sitting there looking at it, it's not going to be useful if you don't know how to use any of the stuff in it. Next thing is to not panic. Panicking will just lead to rash decision making and will just make the whole situation worse. Delegate and make a plan. So that means that if you have other friends with you, and let's say you have 3 people with you, somebody breaks a leg or something bad happens, delegate and work as a team and say, okay, I know how to do first aid, I'm gonna help him, you go get help. You know, try to make a plan. And the next thing is decide to stay or get out. Sometimes the best thing to do in a crappy situation is to just stay the night in that area. Like if it's the evening, it's probably a better idea to not go hiking through the dark. It might be better to just start a fire and just sit tight for the night. And then have and use an emergency kit. So an emergency kit would include, and it's not limited to, first aid kit, reserve food and water supplies, a compass or GPS, and a map. And then also knowing the nearest roads and or town. And this is more for if you're like hiking like actually in like the backcountry. Super important to know the nearest roads, like so you can actually get to civilization if you get hurt. And then find the safest way out. So with that, getting out in nature and enjoying nature is a productive pastime and can be very rewarding. Having the proper gear, being aware of dangers, and having an emergency plan is necessary to guarantee your safety. The Pacific Trail Association says an American National Trail System has more than 88,600, is more than 88,600 miles long, and so America is beautiful. That is a lot of miles of trail, and there's tons more than that. That's just America's main national park trail system. We some of the best outdoors in the world. So when you go out in nature, be prepared for the worst and expect to see the best. And thank you.